Mr. Speaker, the problem is they just can't seem to get their story straight. Now, the Prime Minister has given the Canadian people many versions of who knew what in the Prime Minister's office about the cover-up check to Mike Duffy. First, the Prime Minister said that Nigel Wright acted alone. Then last week he said, well, okay, a few knew. And now he's back to saying that Wright acted, quote, by himself. Can anyone explain over there why the Prime Minister has such a difficult time answering such a straightforward question?
Of course, Mr. Speaker, we've answered that question on a number of occasions. As I said, we're continuing to assist with authorities. Again, what this is the fact that these three senators and disgraced former Liberal Senator Matt Carb accepted payments that they did not incur, Mr. Speaker. They need to be held accountable for those actions, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, I can say this, Mr. Speaker, we're continuing to work on all of those priorities that Canadians think are important. Jobs, economic growth, Mr. Speaker. That's important to Canadians. Law and order, Mr. Speaker. Putting the victims of crime first, Mr. Speaker. We saw the Minister of National Defence deploy Canada's START team in record time, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to the issues that matter to Canadians, we're on top of the file.
The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
Law and order, did I hear that one? Well, speaking of law and order over there, on November 30th, 2012, the Minister of Democratic Reform told the House that the Conservative government was, quote, proactively cooperating with Elections Canada to find out what happened with the electoral fraud in Guelph. Now we find out that Elections Canada is being stonewalled by the Conservatives about the issues of voter fraud. So my simple question is, what happened to that promise that was made in this House to get to the bottom of this fraud?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I just said in response to an earlier question, we're continuing to assist with this investigation. We believe on this side of the House, of course, that that any individual who is found responsible for this should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, Mr. Speaker. We also believe on this side of the House that when you make a promise, you keep that promise. Unfortunately, that member over there doesn't believe the same thing, Mr. Speaker, because when he went to his constituents and promised to vote in favour of taking away the long gun registry, he came in the House and did the exact opposite, Mr. Speaker. Promise made, promise kept. He can't have this. It doesn't have the same standard, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton Mountain.